everybody, my name is Mark and I am the owner and operator of Northeast Photographic. Let's just get something out into the air. Let's clear up some confusion that you might encounter throughout the remainder of this video. I just want to say that I recorded the earlier parts of this video before having removed my facial hair, and the facial hair is now gone. And if you are confused, I am the same person that shows up later in the video, but without hair on my face. So, I just wanted to clear the air and avoid any cancellation issues or continuity problems. But now that we've done that, let's move on with the rest of the video. Yeah, we had a great, fun week last week. Some interesting projects came through, all from one client. So the client had a roll of film that he wanted to produce a couple different prints from. One of them needed to be a silver gelatin print in the 16 by 20 size. And then the other one, he needed to make an archival pigment print in 24 by 36 size. We were working from like a consumer level Fujifilm. I think it was similar to C200, but maybe an earlier version of it. So this required multiple steps. So to produce the silver gelatin print, I needed to basically enlarge it in the darkroom. That was the the most straightforward version of it, but there were some questions about different surface types that he needed, how that particular image should be cropped, because 16 by 20 paper of course doesn't exactly comport with 35 millimeter dimensions. And then when it came to making the archival pigment print, you have a negative, so that negative needs to be scanned. We needed to go over the requirements for that scan, and then we needed to go over the various surfaces and options that are available in archival pigment printing. Yeah, I thought we would go through kind of what I did to solve this job and deliver these final prints for the client. Okay, so I thought it would be helpful to explain my darkroom because it's a little different from traditional darkrooms that you may have worked with in the past. I have done a lot of outfitting in there because I anticipated doing work for other people, so printing in this way for a client. And I also, I will say, as you find yourself getting older, as I am, you run into issues of time being the biggest challenge. Darkroom printing, if any of you at home have done it, is an easy way to throw away 4 to 5 hours of your day, all in the pursuit of a single print. You can easily just get lost listening to podcasts and music and just be kind of, endlessly tweaking one particular final print to get it perfect. I just don't have that kind of time anymore. For a fine print that's going on in the gallery, maybe I can do that, but to be practical in this day and age, I have to speed things up. So I made a few changes, in particular to my enlargers and my chemical processes to move that thing forward. The first is I've outfitted my enlargers with something called a Hiland. It might be pronounced Hiland, but I think it's Hiland. It's called the LED split grade system. So what makes this special is that it takes the existing light source of any enlarger. I think they outfit pretty much any enlarger that's ever been made. You might often have an incandescent or halogen, usually it's halogen, light bulb. They have replaced that system with a flat trichromatic LED panel. By trichromatic, I mean it's got red, green, blue LEDs, and then you can, you change basically the color that they're outputting to give you either in black and white, the scale from, kind of green to magenta for the variable contrast system, or in color to the different color grades, mixing as the same as you would in a CMY enlarger to color balance your image. Now for the chemicals, I'm using a chemical called, this is actually the first time I've used this developer. It's a chemical called ethyl LPD. When I look for a paper developer in the darkroom, I look for a property that is most important to me. And as I mentioned, I don't have a lot of time to work in the darkroom, and I also don't want to waste a lot of chemicals. So it's important to me that I have a really long lasting developer that I can use for a certain number of hours, put back in a bottle, and it's working condition and then come back to maybe a week or two later and it's still good. LPD purports to have this property. It's also a very nice working developer, and I found the development times a little long, but you can change the dilutions to alter the color tone slightly, you know, going from sort of neutral to warm tone. So I find that a fairly useful aspect. I did not get into it so much for this particular print because it was not appropriate, but I look forward to playing with that in the future. Okay, so here you can see me using the probe system in the Hiland LED split grade. You use this, let's call it a wand, to move a light sensor over the various areas of the negative, and the computer will evaluate the range of tones and come up with an automatic split grade exposure without the need of doing any test strips. Not making test strips to me is a huge time and material saver. I have forever wanted a way to avoid making test strips. I think anybody that works in the darkroom, that's kind of like the dream. And I have to say, the system works pretty well. Now I do go and make one kind of test patch, but I've been shocked at how often the Hiland split grade system pretty much nails it. So for the other negative, I have to make a scan of it first, and the customer opted to go with our advanced scan system. This produces a 16-bit 5600 ppi file, which comes in at about, I think, like 40 to 50 megapixels. So that will print sufficiently large for our needs in this case. Also, this scanner is extremely detailed. The lens that is used is made by Rodenstock. The CCD is actively cooled, so it's among the best scanners that you can use. Even though it is a flatbed, people often associate flatbed scanners with those being of poor quality. This grade of flatbed is actually more similar to drum scans in the quality of output that they work. You know, this would be the kind of scanner that was owned by, you know, let's say like a Life magazine or Getty or whoever it may have been to reproduce the work of their, either in their archive or for their photographers. So the negative can be placed directly on the glass. We're using a slightly etched bottom glass, and then there's a slightly etched top glass that will sandwich them together and completely flatten the image. And then I go into my software and I make selections around the frame of the negative, and then you basically just let the scanner do its thing. Okay, so getting back to the darkroom, I'm satisfied with my test print. The only thing that I'm going to do is burn in the sky to equalize those tones. I think the sky area is maybe a little too close to zone 8 or 9, and I kind of want it more towards zone 7. So the Hiland system actually has a mode that you can take the probe, place it in your sky, and then adjust the exposure, and it'll tell you how much you need to burn it in to achieve whatever zone that you may need. So in this case, I dialed it down to zone 7. I realized I needed to do about a 4-second burn, and then that was easy for me to program in, and I just went to make the final print. So Negative Lab Pro has some software that came along in the last few years, and it's been pretty much a game changer for anyone that is scanning their own film. I have to say that the guy, Nate, that designed it, he's kind of a godsend for everyone. Most of the time, I find that it's used by people that are doing camera scanning. I'm using a traditional scanner, so I actually have a little bit of even easier time with the software than some other people might. Camera scans, you often hear people talking about their light source and how it's rated in something called CRI. The higher CRI number, the more closer to full spectrum. Scanners themselves already have full spectrum light sources. The Eversmart Supreme certainly does. So when I make my selections and have the software evaluate the color, it's almost always exactly spot on. I don't need to do a lot of tweaks. I do select a color profile. I really like Nate's Fuji Crystal Archive color profile. I find that it is actually pretty close to what an RA4 print, and the way that it renders, it tends to accentuate the greens and deepen the blacks a little bit. A lot of the time when I'm making advanced scans for clients, they opt to have flat scans, which I'm happy to output. But in this case, I'm going straight to print, so I needed to make some of these creative decisions myself. So in this case, the customer opted to go with Ilford satin finish RC paper. I really like the RC satin paper. I think it is a surface that's very similar to the fiber-based matte paper. So it just has a nice, like, smooth finish. It doesn't get in the way of the detail. It also maintains its blacks and range of tones pretty well. It doesn't have as deep of blacks as any of the glossy surfaces, whether it be pearl or true gloss, but it's got a nice tonal scale to it, and I think the paper prints very well. It's also easy to handle, and it looks great on the wall, of course. So now we're going straight to print. We use a Canon Pro 2100, and the client opted for a nice matte finish paper. I used Epson cold press paper, which I have a profile for, and even though it is Canon Epson, the printer did not start on fire because I was using Epson printer or Epson paper in a Canon printer. But I guess we just lucked out there. Anyway, the print, I made about 3 small tests myself, and then I evaluated them under kind of even neutral room light, and then I went straight to print, and I had to say, I think it was beautiful. It is grainy because it is a consumer film that we're blowing up quite large, going from a 24 by 36 millimeter negative to a 24 by 36 inch print. That's a big enlargement for 35 millimeter, but you know, at standard print viewing distances, I have to say, it looks beautiful. So short video this week. Again, I am Mark from Northeast Photographic. I own and operate this film lab right here in Maine. Thank you for watching. If you want to be a Northeast Photographic customer, please check out our website. We have a whole range of services from scanning with full film borders. We make digital contact sheets. We process E6, black and white, color negative. We do 35 millimeter to 8x10. Our large format scans are some of the cheapest in the industry and also highest quality because we use the same Eversmart Supreme scanner that I was talking about in this video to produce those large format dev scans. I think that it's a really unique feature for people. And now that the weather's turning around, you can finally take out that 4x5 camera that has been sitting in your closet. So yeah, I'll be back next week with another kind of lab diary. Actually, maybe not next week, probably in the next 2 weeks because it takes a while to produce these things. But yeah, we still have our pysography conversion video coming up, and then we'll start converting, or not converting, but rather restoring our Colex paper processor, so we can either make RA4 prints or very quick black and white machine process prints. You know, either way, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, have a great weekend, everybody, and yeah, again, just thanks for watching.